Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Michelle Panino, YWCA's Director of Member Services. I am so pleased to have you join us for another event designed to empower women and create valuable learning opportunities for our YWCA members and the community. While this event is free, we are grateful for all support of the YWCA mission and programs. We hope that this will be an interactive session, so please feel free to put questions and comments in the Q&A section. Our speaker will answer as many as possible today, and we will email you with additional information and a copy of this event, which we are recording in the next few days. And now I'm excited to introduce today's speaker, Suzanne Cabot. Suzanne is a Greenwich native and lives here with her husband and 2 teenagers. She's a huge outdoor enthusiast and an avid organic vegetable gardener. She is presently a director with Beauty Counter, the #1 clean beauty brand in North America, where she enjoys being both an educator and advocate for both good health. Suzanne, please take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Kathy, for this opportunity. And thank you all for making the time today for what I hope will be an informative conversation. So I love clean living and healthy eating. And so 3 years ago, when I started learning about what was in all of the commercially available products that we use on our bodies every day, and that these products were unregulated, not only did I feel the need to make a change for my family's health, but I also wanted to educate my friends. And this sparked a journey to learn more. And I want to be very clear that my environmental health journey has been self-taught. I'm not an expert, but I have mentors who are the experts. I am passionate about these serious issues, and I am constantly educating and advocating on these topics. Accordingly, I've had the opportunity to meet and speak with Representative Jim Himes to talk about the impacts that these issues have on his constituents here in Connecticut. Today, I will be sharing a lot of information and will be taking time for questions at the end. And as Michelle said, that during the presentation, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section. And if we don't get to all of them today, or possibly you all ask a really good question to which I will need to go find out more information, I will follow up with you after the event. So that is me. So as we start, environmental toxins can be found everywhere. And they're not just in the smokestacks and the pesticide-laden fruits and vegetables. These toxins are also found in our personal care products and in our homes. Many of these toxins are known as endocrine disrupting chemicals, and that is the subset of chemicals that I am going to focus on today. These endocrine disrupting chemicals interfere with the proper functioning of our hormone system, such as reproduction, metabolism, and growth development. According to the Cleveland Clinic, to quote, the endocrine disrupting chemicals are everywhere. And since we know of nearly 800 chemicals that are suspected to be endocrine disruptors, it's safe to say that the EDCs are becoming a global health crisis. Dr. Leo Trasande is an internationally renowned leader of environmental health, and his research focuses on the impacts that chemicals have on the hormones in our bodies. Believing that the business world would likely have a greater impact on making change than the government, Dr. Trasande and a team of internationally renowned endocrinologists made a financial case for the impact of endocrine disrupting chemicals on our health and the economy. They estimate that the impact of using these products with harmful ingredients has cost the US economy $340 billion a year. And exposure to these endocrine disrupting chemicals is common. Daily exposures occur in flame retardants, in plastics, in cans, in the pesticide exposure in our food, detergents and cleaning products that we use in our homes, packaging for materials, nonstick pans, and our personal care products. When I started to learn about the economic impact, I was absolutely astounded. And I started to dig deeper because these issues don't just impact me, but also my friends and family. So as you take in this slide, I wonder how many of you are aware that your skin is your largest organ, and that the toxic ingredients that are in these products that you use every day and put on your largest organ. Did you know that in the United States, that the personal care industry is completely unregulated, that there is no governing authority, specifically the FDA, to ban, test, or recall a product, much less an ingredient? On average, these are the number of personal care products that women, teenage girls, and men typically use in a day, and the number of chemicals found in these products. So when you think of the United States, you figure first world, safe, everything for the most part that we use would have somebody looking at us. And as I mentioned, the FDA does not have the authority. So actually 1938 was the last time that the US government banned an ingredient for use in the personal care and beauty industry. And since then, over 85,000 chemicals have been introduced into the marketplace. And of those, only 10% have been tested for the effects on human health. It is legal for US cosmetic companies to use carcinogens in the products we use on our bodies. And when I say a cosmetic company, I mean a company that makes toothpaste, deodorant, your cleaning products in your home, your shampoo, your lipstick. It all falls under the cosmetic and personal care industry. So by comparison to the United States, the European Union has banned over 1,400 known harmful and toxic ingredients. Canada has banned 600, and the US only 30. So once I started to learn this information, it made me realize that no one else is clearly watching out for my health. The FDA's authority over cosmetics is different from other products that it regulates, like food and drugs. And unlike those categories, personal care products are the least regulated. As a result, the FDA does not require an ingredient to be addressed for safety before the product hits the market. And they cannot and are not empowered to issue a recall if the product is known to cause harm. Let me say that again. If a product on the market is known to cause harm, the FDA is powerless to issue a recall. according to the Office of Cosmetics and Colors at the FDA, a cosmetic manufacturer may use almost any raw material as an ingredient and market the product without approval from the FDA. There's some good news to go with those kind of, I would say, scary stats, and that there is bipartisan support in Congress, spearheaded by the House Energy and Commerce Committee. And there is a bill called the Personal Care Safety Act that has made it out of subcommittee and to the floor and is waiting for a vote. This is a huge step, and obviously the current tenure in DC did not kind of allow that bill to make it further through the process. But there is support, and this bill that is in Congress right now would empower the FDA to be able to look at 5 classes of ingredients and to study them, to ban, test, and recall. And this would have obviously a lasting and impactful impact on the industry. But in the meantime, it's really up to states and individuals to do the work and learn and take the steps they need to do to protect themselves. So of all the federal laws governing the $89 billion cosmetic industry, only 2 have to do with this industry. So Michelle, I don't know, are there any questions to this point, or do you want me to keep going?
Suzanne, I would continue going. There are no questions as of yet.
Okay, thank you. So additional loopholes occur in what's called labeling. And when you look at a product, and whether it's, again, your laundry detergent or your toothpaste, there are no set rules that define the terms that are used. And this actually also has to do, if you're in the grocery store and you see something that is natural, there's a lot of vagary here. So for example, if organic is on a label, it could mean that the product has 99% organic ingredients or 1%. Similarly, there's no true definition around the term green. It can be used as a marketing tactic, but there's no definitions to it. The word natural, many natural ingredients are safe, but natural doesn't always mean it's safe. For example, the use of heavy metals, they're naturally occurring, but they're not safe in your personal care products. And the term fragrance is a really tricky term to get around and try to ask for transparency, because the word fragrance is considered a trade secret, and companies do not have to disclose the ingredients that are used to create their scents. And therefore, a consumer, if they have a reaction to a product, they don't have the ability to know exactly what is in the ingredient pool that might be causing them harm. So for example, typically if you look at a product and it says fragrance 32, you don't know what is in fragrance 32. So you have no way to know why you might have reacted to that. So typically the blends in a fragrance include phthalates, which are endocrine disrupting chemicals, synthetic musk, or other harmful allergens and skin irritants. California as a state has taken, is probably the most progressive, and they have taken a number of initiatives to ask for and passed laws this past year to force companies into transparency They have also passed a bill that will go into effect in 2025 that has taken the dozen of the most harmful and toxic chemicals and banned them from use in products that are to be sold in the state of California. They also have passed a bill that enables salon workers to be able to know what is in the products they're using, and they can determine if they want to use those or not. How this plays out and whether there will be a federal preemption that supersedes California's initiatives is yet to be seen. Because obviously, as the size of the economy in California, if they continue with this mandate, it will have a ripple effect on the industry long before the federal government has been able to take any action. So what is the correlation between our health and the environment? And when you look now at the following slides, you will start to see that what we put in and on our body is impacting our health. There's been a documented rise in cancer, autoimmune diseases, infertility, and other health concerns. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime, in part due to the toxic chemicals used every day. To me, I found this very interesting, that 85% of breast cancer occurs in women who have no family history of breast cancer. And this fertility issue is not just a female issue, it is a male issue. And the US has seen a 50% drop in male fertility. So there are some simple action steps that we can all do to help reverse that. The good news is that a study that UC Berkeley did looking at teenagers, that those who swapped out safer products for their traditional chemical-laden products saw a 20 to 40% drop in the chemicals in their blood, which means this isn't lasting and that we can all make changes. So a great example of 2 ingredients that I'd like to speak a little bit more about, having to do with health and the environment, are 2 common ingredients that are found in sunscreens, and they're oxybenzone and octinoxate. And yes, they do help prevent you from getting sunburn, but they also have some serious side effects on personal health and to the environment. They are known to cause the feminization of fish, and they have been killing the coral reefs and marine life. So you can swap out a non-nano zinc, which is it's a mineral, and it sits on your skin, and it doesn't get absorbed into your bloodstream, and it doesn't cause harm when you shower or wash off in the oceans. And so there are sustainable choices. And why this is really important is that these 2 chemicals have, while harmful, have also been shown that they can have a positive effect on the industry. And so states and municipalities have taken the initiative. So here you can see Hawaii passed a bill in 2018 that bans those 2 ingredients from use in any sunscreens that are brought into or sold in the state of Hawaii. And this went into effect in January of 2021 of this year. Key West, Florida has also passed a similar ban. Both of those, the municipality and the state, their environment, fishing, coral reefs are extremely important to their tourism industry. The other ripple effect of this information is that CVS, having had Hawaii pass this bill, CVS took the initiative to remove those two ingredients from some of its brand named products that it has on its shelf, and that it's throughout the US. And furthermore, it spurred the FDA for the first time to take some initiative to review its position on sunscreen chemicals, and also to examine the SPF labeling. And because if you notice, SPF can go from 15 to 95, and it's no more. 95 is an SPF of 95 has been shown that it's not significantly more beneficial to your protection than that of an SPF of 30, which gives you 95% protection. So all of that is coming under review, and it's quite exciting that there's change being made. All right, I see a question. Do you want me to? So one more side. As for sunscreen, how do you know mineral sunscreens are in fact mineral and safe? So there on the label, you want it to say non-nano zinc, which means it's a really small particle. And there's some resources that I'll share later as a way to look. But the sunscreens are also going to say, you know, reef safe. So many of the islands that one might travel to in the Caribbean or in Europe, Australia, all the sunscreen will say reef safe. And that is a very good indicator that you can use those. I know we are avid fly fishermen and women in our house. That is something that we have looked for when we have traveled. So I hope that helps answer your question. So it's really important, as I share this information, to note that not all chemicals are harmful, and that you can't draw a direct link between using a personal care product and developing a specific disease. So you can't say that using shampoo X with a known carcinogen is going to give you cancer later in life. But it is really important to be aware of the compounding effect of the use of the products and all of our daily exposures. So if you think back to the earlier slides where you look at what you're doing with food or in your home or driving your car, the fabrics in your house, like how many exposures a day basically continues to up your toxic load. And so there is a strong body of science from very credible researchers, some listed here, and medical institutions that are really calling upon us to prevent exposure to these harmful chemicals whenever possible. So change takes time, it takes leadership, it takes initiative and advocacy. And knowledge combined with transparency seems to be a winning formula for creating an ethical and sustainable supply chain. And the supply chain and sourcing is really another key factor in living an environmentally healthier life. If you are like me, prior to this point in time, you probably haven't given the sourcing a whole lot of thought. So as I address the upcoming issues of transparency, sourcing, and sustainability, I am going to use Beautycounter as a main example because it has demonstrated to be a leader on these issues. Beautycounter is a B corporation, much like the others that you might be more familiar with and listed here. And B corporations are important, and they are growing as a number internationally. And they're important because they prioritize equally the efforts and that they put on people, planet, and the profits that for their company. So Beauty Counter in 2020 was named to CNBC's Disruptor 50 list and Fast Company's #1 innovative beauty brand. It is also a signatory on the UN Global Compact, which names 10 fundamental principles around human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. The mission of Beauty Counter is to get safer products into the hands of everyone. And with the issues of transparency, sourcing, and sustainability are complex, and Beauty Counter does not have all of the issues, it has taken the lead to advocate for change. It is committed to ensure the safety of the people and the communities that bring its products to life. And the reason I bring that up, not to tout my own company, but in the following 4 great examples of sustainable, responsible, and transparent sourcing, using mica, vanilla, palm, and talc as an example, Beauty Counter has played a key role in bringing to light some of the challenges in these industries. The first one is the mica industry. And mica is a safe mineral, but in order to get to mica, it requires it to be mined. And mica is used in everything from paint to electronics to your car, as well as the cosmetic industry and many more. The mica industry, however, is rampant with forced labor. They estimate that over 73 million children are being used as the labor. It is dangerous. There are dangerous work conditions and very poor pay. As of now, all the mining that is done in India is illegal, and yet more mica than ever is being exported. It is one of the largest exporting countries of mica in the world. So as a brand, Beauty Counter committed to responsible sourcing, and it has used MIT, created something called a source map, which helps companies trace their supply chain. And Beauty Counter is using MIT source map. When we recognized that, and we take some of our mica from India, and when we recognized and were made aware of the human condition taking place, we decided that instead of pulling out, that we would double our efforts in India. And we committed to working with the Nobel Prize winner, Kailash Satyarthi's, I always mispronounce his name, sorry, his children's foundation, in order to support solutions and be able to help roll out a comprehensive plan to help legalize the mining, as well as to be able to find ways to support education for children and getting them out of the mines. Beauty Counter also committed to personally audit all of our suppliers by the end of 2021. Another really important sourcing and transparency ingredient is vanilla. And we all like to cook with vanilla, bake with vanilla, but vanilla is also used in the personal care industry. And it is sweet, but very complex. And harvesting vanilla actually requires hand pollination, and it's extremely labor intensive. And the vanilla industry, much like mica, is known for human rights abuses. So Beauty Counter committed to using the highest quality organic vanilla. It's an EcoCert certified, and it comes from Madagascar. And we have sourced and supported a woman-owned supplier who partners with cooperatives and farmers committed to improving the quality of life for their community through initiatives like funding for clean water, healthcare, and education. So being a responsible, transparent brand that sources sustainably also comes at a cost. But we believe that the more consumers are aware of the challenges that are in some of these big industries, the more they will demand from other brands to start also using these safer products. And therefore, when you look at the cost of supply and demand, the demand for cleaner, safer products and ingredients will rise, and therefore the cost will go down. The palm industry is a huge challenge, and palm oil is probably the most commonly used vegetable oil in the world. It's found in roughly half the products on your supermarket shelf and also in most cosmetic brands. It's produced on plantations, and it uses highly unsustainable practices that contribute to greenhouse gases, habitat destruction, and the mistreatment of workers, especially women and children. And although the palm oil's unsustainable practices can be damaging to the environment, alternative ingredients like grapeseed and soybean are potentially even more harmful. So Beautycounter recently joined and strengthened what's called the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. And this helps businesses be able to source more environmentally friendly palm. And Beautycounter is currently working with all of our contract manufacturers to help them become certified members of the Roundtable. Perhaps some of you are aware that the Associated Press broke an investigative story on forced labor issues of the palm workers throughout this fall. And subsequently, the US has banned the importation from 2 of the industry's biggest palm oil producers in Malaysia because of their inhumane treatment of workers. The choices, the establishment of the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil really speak to the importance on sustainable sourcing. And lastly, the talc industry. I'm sure most of you are aware of the headlines, but in recent years, talc has come under scrutiny as asbestos contaminated talc has been found not only in baby powder, but also in cosmetics marketed to children and teens. The FDA does not regularly test personal care products for safety, and nor do they have the authority to force companies to remove them from the marketplace. This talc is a great example of how the health information and public pressure is helping to make a policy change. And the FDA, as a result, as you can see here, is considering testing. Sourcing asbestos-free talc makes all the difference between a safe and a toxic ingredient. So now that you have had a complete information dump and are somewhat more aware of some of the challenges, I'd like to introduce you to a resource that will help support your wellness journey. The Environmental Working Group is a nonprofit consumer watchdog, and they have something called the Healthy Living Database. And possibly some of you downloaded this app before today. And if so, you could bring it up on your device. But what this Healthy Living Database does is that it offers health information on your personal care, cleaning, and food products. And I like to use this if I am, looking at a product that I'm not familiar with, then I always check this database first. And it gives you the option to scan a barcode or to just manually enter in to their source bar. And the EWG has a growing database. It doesn't have every product that's available on the market, and that is because it's up to the brand to submit all of its information to allow the EWG to verify what is in their ingredients. And so you can actually search their own database of listed products that they have already sourced. If you're looking for a particular detergent or a toothpaste, or you can just key in what you want. And they will spit out, when you enter that in, kind of a safety rating and let you know why. And is it, and what aspect does it create harm? Is it an allergen? Is it a skin irritant? Does it have developmental toxicity? Is it a carcinogen? So I highly recommend that you take a look. And if anyone, I can't tell if any, because I can't see any of you, but if anyone has entered their product and loaded it and it came up and you have a question, please let me know in the chat. And in the meantime, I can keep going because I don't see any questions. So as we get to the end of my presentation, I want to take a few minutes and offer some suggestions of some clean swaps and small changes. And I'm going to leave my takeaways up for you so that you can take some notes if you would like. But I think after what I've shared today in the information, my suggestions would be to try to make a clean swap and choose the products to start with that sit on your skin the longest or that are near your eyes and your mouth. And also do your deodorant because that is near your largest lymph nodes on your body. And a simple swap could be a moisturizer and it's organic coconut oil that you can find in the grocery store. I highly suggest using safer sunscreen, the non-nano zinc oxide. It also will help you and our environment. Please know your ingredients. As you can tell from today, that information is one of the most powerful factors. And that another great resource is something called Beauty Counter's The Never List. And it is a comprehensive list of 1,800 ingredients that are harmful, and it explains why and where you can find them, what products, whether it's nail polish, detergent, cleaning products, etc. Learn the ingredient selection process, and EWG's verified brands have kind of already vetted that for you. Ditch the plasticizing chemicals and preservatives in your products. And another important aspect of this is that anything that's placed in a plastic container, that plastic that contains a phthalate can leach into the product inside the container and then into your body. So it's not that the phthalate is necessarily in the list of ingredients, but it is in the container. So, and avoid a fragrance that is in your product. And a fragrance is in your detergents, but let's say you look at a perfume and one, you don't know what, as I mentioned before, because it's a trade secret, you don't know what's in the fragrance. But in order for a fragrance to stick to your body, it must have a phthalate. And the phthalate is a plasticizer. It allows it to be malleable, which means it sticks to your body. And so there are clean and safe safe fragrance companies out there. I guess a hack that I would suggest is if you really love your fragrance, spray it on your clothes, just don't spray it on your body if you don't want to swap to a transparent brand. And then some clean swaps for your house. Obviously switch foods to try to avoid those that are the dirty dozen, that have the most pesticides in them. Strawberries obviously is one that is very familiar to everyone. Try to drink filtered water, not necessarily water that's in plastic, but filtered water. And then swap the plastic from your kitchen and switch to glass. So don't ever put a plastic container in the microwave and heat up your food in the plastic. Again, that's where the phthalates are. They leach into your food, and there's your compounding effect. Try to buy cans that do not have the BPA lining in it. And it'll now say BPA free when you're looking at cans of beans or vegetables or fruit in a store. And even the seltzer, cans of seltzer, they too had BPA in the lining. Swap out those nonstick Teflon coated pans. When you heat the nonstick pan, they release the chemical fumes at those high temperatures, and they've been known to cause birth defects and cancer. Consider swapping out your plastic wrap for beeswax. It's not that the covering something in plastic wrap and putting it in your refrigerator in and of it, as long as it's cool, in and of itself is not going to cause harm, but that plastic wrap does not break down when it gets to the landfill. And try using non-toxic cleaning products in your home. Take your shoes off at the door before you get into your house. Buy a plant and filter the air, and recycle and compost. And the town of Greenwich, by the way, at the Holly Hill dump has a compost section where you can actually get a bin and bring your household compost. And they tell you a list of how to do that. And that will also help cut down on the landfill. All right, I see a couple of questions. Cast iron is fantastic for pans. So swapping out stainless steel, the good old cast iron, even your ceramic, those are great uses in the kitchen. I will get to cleaning. It's about to come up. And our organic fruits and vegetables really pesticide free. Yes, they are pesticide free to the best of my knowledge. They use other methods, crop rotation, but they do not have the harmful pesticides that are carcinogenic. So when you look at purchasing different products, consider some logos as a way to know of insurance, of reassurance of what you are buying. And this little guy over here is Leaping Bunny, which means it's cruelty free. So to address your questions about cleaning products, so I have found when we first started the quarantine back in March, as we all know, it was really hard to find cleaning products. And so if you go online, you can find some do-it-yourself formulas that actually really work. Vinegar and water, tea tree oil, and you can use an essential oil, a couple of drops to add some scent to it. Lemon is effective. baking soda, but they really do work. Two other brands called Branch Basics and Norwex are clean and safe cleaning products for your home, and you can look them up, and they are very effective, safe for the environment, and have a myriad of uses in your home. For non-toxic skincare and makeup, I obviously am a fan of Beauty Counter, but there are also many other clean beauty brands. There are no other brands that are a B corporation and that advocate in DC, and as I told you, of all the different leadership roles that Beauty Counter has taken. But there are many beauty brands, clean beauty brands out there that sell clean and safe products. For non-plastic water bottles, glass, or the Hydro Flask that you see everywhere, and glass or silicone are great storage containers. And Zip Top and Stasher are two companies that make sustainable storage containers that are great for bringing lunch to work, storing anything from pencils to cheese in your refrigerator. Laundry detergent, I enjoy 7th generation, but there are okay, I will get to that in 1 second. Thank you, Alexandra. And then I love organic wool dryer balls. And the reason I prefer a dryer ball to a sheet, like a dryer sheet, is that the dryer sheets end up in the landfill and you use so many of them, whereas organic wool dryer balls last a very long time. And if you want to scent your dryer, you can put a couple of drops of an essential oil like lavender onto the wool dryer balls, and because if you really want the fragrance. So new 7th generation laundry detergent contains SLS. I would have to look that up, but it's a complicated question and not so straightforward with SLSs, in that it is what they tend to be mixed with. So a common contaminant is something called 1,4-dioxane, which is a byproduct of the petrochemical process. And so I'd have to look at further into the label in 7th generation, but as a B corporation, I do not believe that they would receive that marking if they are using an ingredient that is known to cause harm. Are there any other questions about plants to help filter the air? So if you go to a green leafy plant, and I would you could go locally to Sam Bridges or McCardle's, and they have wonderful plants that based on the amount of light in your home, but that do, and they could recommend some indoor plants that are great to help filter the air in your house. If you all are inspired and want to become advocates for getting your congressman or woman to take up this issue on safer skincare products, I welcome you to text Better Beauty to 52886, and the text goes right to your local congressman or woman. And and just lobbies you in as an advocate for safer beauty laws. Another question. Are there any other questions? Is there a refillery type business near Greenwich? Refillery meaning to be able to refill your products. Is that what you mean? I only see, yes. So I'm not aware right now, especially if you're looking at personal care products. I know that like Branch Basics, for example, in Norwex, if you use for cleaning products, they send you a highly concentrated clean kit that you then add water to when you get the product into your home. When you look at refillables for personal care industry, that is a challenge, because if you are going to cut down on formaldehyde usage and other preservatives, you have to be very careful in how you refill the container you have at home to make sure that it stays clean and safe. So it is a demand in the industry that is trying to be well vetted. There are other companies that have that do it, and they have had in their stores the ability to go in, bring your container and fill it up. But my personal experience with Beautycounter does not allow that to happen quite yet, because they're concerned about the safety and the contamination aspect. But it is one of the goals that the company is working towards, largely because it impacts the waste that we create, impacts our rating as a B Corporation, and how we fulfill our sustainability requirements. So it's coming from my personal perspective. Yes, Karen, I couldn't agree with you more, that when you start to compost your kitchen waste, it cuts down tremendously on the amount of garbage that you actually end up giving to your garbage man. And the food waste program at Holly Hill is incredible. And they actually will allow you to compost much more than what like I do in my own garden. And I can't put protein, like I can't put bones and protein scraps and oils in my home personal compost. But the one at Holly Hill allows you to add a much greater variety of food to that bin. And I know that some local schools are participating in that recycle program, that composting program as well. So it's very exciting, the education and the participation really from the next generation. Any other thoughts or questions or resources that you all would like me to share? Well, I think if you have questions after today or thoughts that come up, please reach out through Michelle, and maybe we'll I will circulate my contact information in order to be able to allow you to follow up with some questions. Molly Suds is sustainable. Molly Suds is what? Is that a cleaning product? I'm looking at the chat. And plastic storage containers labeled BPA free, safe. They are safer, but again, do not put hot food in plastic. Thank you for the suggestion on Molly Suds. Beauty Counter is launching a deodorant. It is coming out next week. It has been 7 years in the making. Deodorant is a challenge. One does not want the antiperspirant aspect of using a deodorant. The aluminum is not safe to be putting on our bodies. There are many other successful deodorant brands out there, clean. They tend to use charcoal, is a big one. Coconut oil is the nourishing factor. And then they use kind of baking soda. The biggest thing to think about if you're going to swap to a clean deodorant is to realize that it's going to take your body time to adjust. And you may not appreciate that period of adjustment, but once it does, it's much safer. The other aspect of deodorant to realize is that, an antiperspirant, is that when one sweats or perspires, it's your body's natural regulatory system at work, and using an antiperspirant to stop that is not a normal bodily function. But you can use a safe deodorant that will cut down on the odor. I am Michelle. I'm cognizant of time and that many people have dedicated, an hour to this. It's a lot of information, a lot to absorb. And I think the best is, this is recorded. I think the Y will share this if people want. And then I can follow up with a list of resources that I mentioned today, whether it's the EWG, some of the books, the websites, and Michelle can share those with all of you.
Yes, so we will send out a follow-up in the next day or so that has the information and, again, the answers for the questions today. Suzanne, thank you so very much. This was really informative and really opened up, I know, my eyes, and I'm sure quite a few others. So thank you very much. And thank you for all of our guests for joining us today. Actually, I see one more question there.
Are you Beauty Counter affiliated? Yes, I am. As we said in the beginning, I am a director with the company. But the reason I brought it up today was not to promote the products of Beauty Counter, but to use the example of Beauty Counter as a B corporation and what those companies are doing to affect change in basically the business world when it comes to looking at people, planet, and profit. And I think how people choose to look at their products and also invest in companies, being a brand that is takes the environment and society into account, is growing in demand and popularity. And that is why I use Beauty Counter today as examples. My introduction to this topic came through that brand, but that was kind of a launching pad for me into all these other issues that had to do with health and wellness and living an environmentally friendly life.
Suzanne, if you don't mind, I'd just like to mention to everyone, if they have any questions, they can certainly email me. I've sent out a couple of emails in the last day or so, m.panino@ywcagreenwich.org. So if you have questions, certainly forward them to me and I can get them out to Suzanne and we can include them in our response over the next day or so.
So, great.
All right, so again, Suzanne, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the information. Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.